Please welcome Dave Borrelli, Area Vice President of Commercial Business at Salesforce Canada.
Thanks, everybody. Dave Borrelli. I lead our commercial business here at Salesforce Canada. Born, raised, and based right here in Toronto. Lifelong Leaf fan, and so like a lot of you, if you're Leaf fans in the audience, I think you're thinking, you know, we had the Raptors win, we just had Bianca win. You know, this might be the year where it'll be the second or third round before we get disappointed. So spring couldn't come fast enough. I want to thank Traction for putting on this event and bringing our community here together and giving us the opportunity to speak here from Salesforce as well. So thank you to Traction. Thank you to everybody here for spending some time with us this afternoon. It's been a lot of fun working at over the last 11 and a half years to see the growth in our customer community, which is just awesome. For those who aren't familiar with who Salesforce is, we're essentially a software platform for customer engagement. So what that means is we help you engage with your customers regardless of where they are in their lifespan with you. And in other words, whether they are a prospect that you've never spoken with, or that are in a market that you've never attacked or that you haven't attacked yet, or they are a hot lead that you're trying to sell, or they're a new customer you're trying to onboard, or an existing customer you're trying to retain or grow. That is really what our platform enables. 70,000 customers across the world. But I'm not here to pitch product. This is really all about bringing the community together, sharing best practices, and hopefully everybody here gets to leave with a nugget or two.
So some of the most innovative ideas we've seen come to life and get executed on across our customer base have been ones that started from a developer, a customer service rep, a mid-level manager. And you know, for example, we had a customer who's local here to the GTA. They manufacture landscaping products and sell to contractors in a distribution network. And so one of their admins happened to be at an event not dissimilar to this one a few years ago, and they specifically saw some sessions around customer engagement tools like communities or mobile apps. And so they took this idea back to their leadership team and said, hey, what if we treated our distribution network like a retail customer? What if we gave them a retail-like or a B2C-like experience when they're working with us? And that one idea snowballed and turned into an entire digital transformation for the company and made that person's career. And so I think that's really what we talk about, or that's what we mean when we talk about shifting or digital disruption or digital transformation. And that's why I'm really excited to bring up the panel here today, because these are all individuals that work in different industries, different companies, but have all gone through a similar experience and are really here to share the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? What to look out for, what to try to avoid, and that's really the conversation we're going to have up here today. So if I can invite the panels to come up, we'll start the conversation.
I'm Judith McKay. I'm the Chief Client and Innovation Officer at McCarthy Tétrault, a national Canadian law firm. I'm based in Toronto, and my role is to lead our market and innovation initiatives in the firm, along with a team of my colleagues in marketing and service delivery, research and pricing, to transform our firm to be, you know, more nimble, more innovative, and more client-centric.
I'm Jeremy Van Eck. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the American Marketing Association. We are a trade association throughout North America, 80-year-old association, and we're faced with the challenge of transforming to provide our members with the value that they want in today's age, right? So going from 80-year history to shifting to keep up with competition and the value that we want to create out there today.
My name is Jonathan Cipryk. I lead Salesforce Engineering within Manulife, and Manulife has very publicly shared that it will be a digital leader in our industry, and what that means for our engineering organization is supporting and moving away from the concept of IT and really becoming the engineering side of a product organization, and doing that through building and bringing technology back and the concept of customer centricity, but also product focus for being very close to our customers and having Manulife people that are dedicated to touching and building and crafting the experiences for Manulife. And so I drive that engineering organization for Salesforce across the Salesforce clouds.
Awesome. Well, thank you to all of you for being with us here today. I'll kick it off. One of the things we see across the country, and I think this is the same across the world, is everyone's talking about digital disruption, being disrupted, digital transformation. And I think every company is thinking about it in one way, shape, or form. But I think what we see is many have a hard time getting off the ground and really triggering into action. And I'm just curious to know from you guys, what sort of triggered it for you guys, and what prevented you from being in years and years of analysis paralysis?
It starts with culture, and within our firm, we have quite a unique law firm culture. I think we're quite prescient. Back in the early 2000s, we created more of a corporate structure, which enabled us as a law firm to make decisions faster. We didn't want a culture where we have 200 of our partners deciding on the color of the carpets. We wanted to, and in fact, we gave our CEO superpowers to be able to make decisions and move quickly. And I think a lot of that underpins how we're able to be quite nimble. The legal industry is a little, frankly, behind a lot of other industries in terms of digital disruption, but we're seeing a lot of it now. We're seeing new entrants into the legal market. We're seeing the advent of the gig economy and contract lawyers entering the market. AI and blockchain will dramatically change how law is practiced. And of course, we need to get ahead of that. And that's based on culture and leadership. And our firm is known to be innovative with our clients, and within the firm, it's a source of pride for us. But we try to be fearless, and we try to be iterative, and really redefining, going back to Greg's points earlier, embracing failure, but redefining it too. Because the concept of failure for a lawyer, as you can imagine, is very terrifying, because if we fail in the practice of law, that means lawsuits and devastating consequences. But there are things we can fail at, like we can bring Salesforce in and maybe do it wrong in the first instance and fail and iterate and get better at it, and helping people see that's okay. That's all part of the process. Is really, I think, enabled us to go faster and be innovative.
I love that. And I want to come back to the idea of, hey, maybe we failed on first try and we're going to try again. We will come back to that. But I actually want to hear from everybody on the topic of what triggered action in your organization.
I actually remember the meeting that I was sitting in where finally got sick of hearing, we can't do this because our technology won't do that, right? Who are my peeps out there who have worked with really fragile, old, highly customized, non-documented technology? Yeah, no. All you people have only worked with fully documented, wonderful technology all your careers, right? Yeah, I don't believe that either. But we had two big inhibitors. We knew we needed to change, transform the organization. We had two big inhibitors. One was technology, and the other was people. So we needed to build a great team that was capable of change, and we needed to get the technology platform in place in order to enable us to do that. So that was where we started.
At Manulife, the shift really started a couple years ago, where the momentum came in with, and there was something that was really difficult to watch, which was risk adversity to get it wrong, and that. I feel very privileged to have seen the distance from where we are to that point where leaders were really disempowering and disenfranchising teams by saying, I need to know exactly how the whole thing is going to work before I incrementally dole out little pieces of money to you. And that really takes the wind out of the sails of the team, and it's not good for anybody, and it really doesn't get the results. And so a simple mind shift change to moving away from the model of we're going to plan this out, and these leaders and these genius architects are going to figure it all out, and then maybe we'll leave some room for execution at the end of it, right? That model I saw fail, even within my short time at Manulife, saw it fail consistently. And I don't think that's the type of failing we're talking about here. The shift of mindset to allowing teams to get together, form differently, and figure it out incrementally to say, this is what I know and this is what I can do, and deliver something tangible to build momentum in the team. It's really about the mindset of assembling people differently and having consistency and trust within your people to quarter over quarter just say, let's keep going. How are we doing? as opposed to pretending. I have a deep background in architecture, but pretending like you can premeditate everything that you want to do, that's the number one recipe for failure that I'm aware of, is trying to premeditate it a year in advance and not investing in your team to be able to figure it out for themselves.
That's great feedback, which sort of leads into, when we embark upon these projects, we know that it's never going to go smoothly. It'll never go as planned a year in advance. And so for everyone in the audience who's either thinking about embarking on something like this, in the middle of it, or have tried and failed and are thinking about it again, talk to us about what were some of the hiccups and challenges you faced along the way, whether it was during evaluation or during the implementation. And
How much time you got, Dave?
Well, you see it. What are some things that we should be looking out for, and what are some common hiccups?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with maybe what our vision was, and then the hiccups we found along the way. So, we wanted, our vision was to have a collaboration tool for our lawyers to collaborate and engage around clients. And the tool would have clients at the center of it. And it'd be an intelligence tool, everything about our clients, so that we can deliver the best experience, but also to win new business. And so that was our grand vision, and we started, with a pilot with a small group of our lawyers, and we were really excited about it. We thought we didn't build out the whole thing, we just built out a few pieces of functionality, and we thought they would love it, embrace it, and then we would go firm-wide. And that was, I was looking at the date because we actually thought, we were so convinced it was going to be successful. I had booked to speak at a conference, so we rolled out the pilot in June, and I was going to speak at the conference in November to tout our success, and that was November 2 years ago. And we didn't actually roll it out till this year. So when we did our pilot, we realized having only a couple of pieces of functionality wasn't enough. The lawyers said, we're intrigued, we like this, but can it do this, 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 and this? And we said, well, not yet, but eventually it will. And they said, well, I'm not interested until it can do all those things. So we had to go, okay, we're going to take a pause, and we're going to take a whole year, build out that functionality, and repilot. So, I had to go and give a speech that I thought was going to be about how we implemented Salesforce across the firm, and had to speak very hypothetically instead. So,
that sort of bleeds into change management, which we'll get to in a little bit. But since you're on the topic right now, I'm curious, when that happened, how did you then keep the momentum on the project internally when you needed to basically reiterate for a year?
Right. So in terms of the lawyers, we did lose momentum. We the people who were in the pilot could continue to use it, but they didn't really. We actually just kind of regrouped, and within our clients and markets team, and working closely with Traction, we really re-envisioned how we were going to phase in the right functionalities when, and then we enlisted some of our key partners in the firm who were power users, that were excited about it, and really dug into the data that we got through our initial pilot to say, what things do we need to add? And we talked to various partners. We talked to our team in clients and markets who are extremely important, not only users, but champions as well. So we kept momentum in the background, but we put it on pause with our lawyers.
Got it. Thanks for sharing, bringing in key stakeholders, and we'll talk a little bit about that after. Jeremy, I'd love to hear your perspective. What were some of the hiccups, the gotchas, and things to look out for?
You're not working from the moderator's playbook, right? You're supposed to ask about successes first, and then you ask about the things that went wrong, right?
This has got to be,
it's
a real conversation.
Like compulsive need to talk about something that went well first before I talk about something that didn't go well. Well, a little bit of
going really well.
I know.
Now
right?
tell us.
A little bit of background on the AMA first is for individual marketers, right? So we support professional marketers, academics, and then college students as well. So we did a lot of custom stuff with Salesforce around how to support our membership and how do we categorize them and what chapters they're members of and all of that kinds of stuff to get all that to work. So I'm going to slip in something that really worked well that we wanted to do is around democratization of data. Right? The more we know about our people and the more that the people in the field know about the people we're trying to support, the better we can serve them and the better job we can do with that more personalized outreach and experience we can give to our members, which is one of our goals. So that worked well internally at the IMA. We also had a goal for that to work throughout our communities as well, so that you're a member that you're helping to run the Toronto chapter of the IMA, and then you can log into Salesforce and see how many members you have and stuff about them. And the implementation of that throughout Salesforce communities, we haven't been able to realize as much as we wanted because a lot of custom work that we did getting that to translate through communities. We're 6 months out from implementation, and we're still struggling with some of the pieces there that we want to realize that vision that it's not just static reporting like it was in the past, but live, real-time, very deep data that we're providing out to our community leaders.
I want to provide a similar perspective, really based on data and the criticality of data, right? So in terms of how people assemble and how you create focus for people to do what they do well, it's a point that Greg mentioned. Expecting team members to sort of, your strongest, smartest, brightest people to float around from one place to the next, to sort of context switching all day long because they're the most senior is a recipe for failure in itself. And sort of, I think we've all seen that type of model, and I can attest to providing the strongest people focus, gives them work balance, and really allows people to succeed and creates anchors within an organization. And in terms of a palpable failure that I've seen consistently, and some of the greatest successes were around the people that were either given focus for making sure the right data is in the right spot for an initiative. And if someone has focus on data, that's critical. And some of the biggest failures I've seen is when somebody else has it, but you don't know who it is. There isn't someone that has the mind share to make sure that the lineage and information, particularly my large enterprise friends, nobody's in a green field, right? Like, you have data somewhere and it needs to come into your application. It's the lifeblood of your application. And when it's coming from somewhere else, or that if nobody's taking care of that critical component, or that person is also spread out through all sorts of other things because they're the best, you're guaranteed to fail if nobody's got some critical components of focus. I've seen some of the best successes and some of the worst successes depending on who's paying attention to the data elements in your application.
And so on that point, before we get into, hey, what were some of the outcomes and successes that came out of these projects, what change management strategies and tactics did you guys employ and think through before you even embarked on it? And similar to your story around, hey, and then mid-cycle we had to bring stakeholders in. What were some of the things you guys actually did to make sure that we kept momentum, that we had the right stakeholders in place, that when this thing rolled out, it wasn't going to be a scenario where it was good money after bad. People were going to adopt and drive forward.
Yeah, well, adoption is a journey, not a destination for us. It's our biggest potential failure point, quite frankly. So we think about it all the time, and there'll be no end to what we do to drive adoption. Especially, I think in any organization, of course, that's true, but I think lawyers are particularly averse to technology, and so getting them comfortable with the tool and using it and seeing it as part of their practice has been quite challenging. So some of the things that we've done, one of it is just guerrilla tactics. It's a couple of my colleagues are here today, Trina, Joyce over here, who is the mastermind behind we call it Client Connect. It's our Salesforce project, and Ken Liu, I am not sure where he is here, but he's our project manager. And Trina, like, will be in people's like what she does now that we've rolled it out firm-wide. Her and her team are every day in people's offices showing them how to log in, how to use the basic functionality, how it can help them with the tool. They go to all our practice group meetings, our industry meetings, to show them. And then our team are all ambassadors and champions, the marketing team, going to individual partners in meetings, really showing the functionality of the tool. And then in addition to that, we do things like we had an innovation month last year, and we'll do one this year, where we have a group of geniuses, with our McCarthy orange t-shirts, literally going door to door. Because what we found with lawyers especially, and I think it's probably true with most people, is high touch is what works. We discovered that through an earlier project where we were trying to get all our lawyers to improve their LinkedIns, because we know a lot of clients choose their law firm through LinkedIn. And we gave them a great sheet that gave them all the tips on how to improve their LinkedIn. And precisely 0 lawyers went and fixed their LinkedIn. But we had articling students, and we said, what a great way for you to build a relationship with the partners. You can show value right away. So we had them fan out and actually go on to the partners' accounts and show them how to fix it. And all of a sudden, we had some great LinkedIn. So we did the same thing with our Salesforce technology, is just at their elbow, showing them how to use it. And we've brought in WalkMe as well as another tool to show them how to use different functionalities if there's not a live human being at their elbow. But we keep trying different things. So we monitor adoption all the time. We have our adoption metrics, and we know where we want to get to. And if this doesn't drive adoption, we try that. And we just keep trying new tactics and new ways to get there, because that's how we'll be successful.
How many, just quick show of hands in the audience, how many people here feel like in their organizations there's people that may not be so open to adopting new technology? It's pretty much almost everybody. There's a story I always like to tell. One of our customers out west in Calgary run they operate cranes in the oil field. And some of you probably heard me tell the story, but I don't know if it was a CIO or the operations manager, whoever it was rolling out a Salesforce project, and it was all about giving them some digital tools for scheduling and for maintenance on these cranes and so forth. And it was having a hard time getting adoption because you could probably imagine the demographic of a crane operator in the oil field isn't somebody who's really technology forward. And so he did this kickoff, or he called this meeting. And he said that he went and bought the best fish finder that money could buy, because all these guys love fishing. And he created some sort of competition for it. But in the end, the whole premise of having this fish finder there was, guys, this fish finder is 10 times more complicated than the things I'm asking you to do on the new tools that we've rolled out for you. So don't tell me it's too complicated. This just made you better at fishing. The tools we're rolling out for you will make you better crane operators. And I thought that was an interesting tactic to use. To your point, you have to try different things. There's no one silver bullet to get people to adopt, and slowly but surely you started getting some buy-in. Jeremy, what did you guys think about?
Change management. Big believer in change management. First piece of advice is don't think of change management as an afterthought, right? You get so focused on we got to build the platform and test it and get all the functionality working, and then we'll worry about rolling it out, right? So start from the very beginning with communication and with training. And some of the things that worked well for us and some of the things that didn't work well on the change management front. For the internal staff at the AMA, we had a business readiness points competition going that really the staff got into, which was a lot of fun. So you could score points every week by doing trailheads. We sent out a weekly quiz on Salesforce just to get people engaged in it. And actually the most successful thing was people got balloons by their desks, right, based on how many points you had scored in the points competition. So just the simple visual indicator of whether you are a red balloon and a little falling behind of everyone else, or a blue balloon, or in the middle, or a gold balloon and ahead of everyone else, was actually a really good motivator for people to stay on top of the objectives that we had laid out for the internal staff. One of the things that I think we could have done a lot more of is communication out to our external audiences. Not just thinking about the internal staff, but everyone else who is going to be affected by this change within the various AMA communities, and talking to them about the change that's coming and what it's going to mean. because internally within your organization, you got a lot more share of mind and a lot more attention of the people. Once you go externally, it's a lot more that you have to get through in order to get the message across. So I think we should have communicated a lot more and a lot more frequently and tried to engage the external audiences a lot more, and that would have helped our adoption and how smooth it went post-go live.
So I want to take a slightly different perspective on the concept of buying in and sort of also building team, right? So the getting buy-in to implement a new technology is critical, and particularly in an organization that has years of sort of built-up mistrust, and where you need to tear that down in a quick way. Getting buy-in is, for us, we've really been successful in saying, we're going to try this, we're going to implement as quickly as we can. It's not going to be perfect, and we promise you we'll have you on day one after that, and we will continue to iterate. We're not going anywhere. It's never once and done. We will implement as soon as we're covered with absolutely what needs to go to market, and right after that, we're going to plan for another release. And what's so great for our team is when we get real recognition that feeds back into the team from different user groups to say, you've achieved the impossible, even though it was far from perfect. You've achieved the impossible because they knew that in another couple of weeks and another couple of weeks after that, we'll incrementally close the gaps. But we didn't go late, and we had what we needed. So buy-in was really, really critical in building that, and it's really about trust and transparency. The other side of that is making sure that in terms of building stronger teams, gamification is a huge motivator. Particularly, I think folks are familiar with the gamification that might happen in sales organizations, but it is absolutely applicable to tech teams and other teams like that. And nothing's a motivator like seeing that you're behind. And in terms of internally, we drive Salesforce competitions with Salesforce, and there's this carrot and stick model where, we can't allow, our divisional competitor to be a stronger engineering team than we are. And it was absolutely mind-boggling how the team rallied to kick some ass. Like, it was impressive. And there's a bit of fear in there too. And there's a bit of reward, there's a bit of swag, but the swag isn't the motivator. That's the last thing. It's the competition and wanting to do better than another team. So in terms of adoption and wanting to build your own internal muscle, to build your own customer experiences, that's been critical for us.
I love the gamification idea. We talk about that a lot with customers, and I think the initial reaction to it all is always, it's a little juvenile. I'm not sure my people will buy into that. And it's amazing what $5 Starbucks cards or Tim Hortons cards will do, right? Like it actually is a powerful tool, as simple as it seems. I'd love to hear, because we only have a few minutes left, some of the outcomes, some of the successes, and then how you're measuring the ROI.
Yeah, so our vision is really being realized for this platform, which was collaboration amongst lawyers to enable value to our clients. And we actually view this not only as a tool to help our clients, but a cultural transformational tool within the firm. And one of the things, the personality profile of lawyers is a little bit unique in some ways, in that the majority tend to be introverted, and the majority want to have a high degree of control, and which enables them to be great lawyers. But it means that they're not naturally collaborative. And I think our firm actually is highly collaborative, maybe compared to others, but we can get better at that. And we really wanted to drive collaboration through the tool. So one of the design decisions we made at the beginning was to make it completely transparent, so that everyone can see everything that's going on. And it goes to your point about democratization of data, which I loved that way of describing it, which is a junior associate could go in and see a client that we're chasing for new business and say, hey, I know someone and I can be helpful in that pursuit. And that advances their career. So that's what's in it for them on the platform. So that has been really exciting to be able to now have visibility so that anyone that goes in to speak to a client can see everything about that client, who in the firm has a relationship with them, what the latest NPS score is for that client, what do our client satisfaction interviews say about that client, what are the big deals and cases we worked on for that client, because our experience is super important to clients. You know, what other experience do we have that's relevant to that client? Who saw the client last? All of that now is available. You know, what proposals and pitches are in play right now? Because the biggest complaint we had in the past from clients is, you guys are all disconnected. I get like 5 people coming and doing separate sales calls, sometimes for the same thing, and your BC office doesn't know what your, Montreal office is doing. You're so disjointed. Well, now they say the opposite. Wow, I'm amazed how coordinated you are. Like, you all are singing from the same hymn book. You're so well informed when you come to see me. Because the reality is, it's on your phone, and you can pull it up and know everything about a client in, the 10 minutes you have before the meeting starts. And then, in addition, what we've done and we're in the process of doing is, how we go to market is really through our plans. And we have, individual partner and lawyer plans. We have industry plans, because we organize ourselves around industry lines. We have, in some cases, practice plans, and we have client plans. And now we have all of those plans in our Salesforce Client Connect system, and we tag them so they all speak to each other. So we can be coordinated even on a greater level. What are individual lawyers doing? What is this industry group doing? So that we can be very knowledgeable and coordinated as we build the client experience and go to market.
And so I heard, in terms of measuring the ROI, I heard NPS scores. Any other metrics you guys are taking a look at?
NPS and revenue, client revenue.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, good success so far, and mainly the big thing for us with this project was paying off the technical debt of having arcane systems that were outdated, and we feel like we're in a position now where we have a platform that we can build and we can grow, and that's flexible. Previously, we'd try to change something, right? And I don't know if anyone has had this experience, but it's like, no, don't touch it. It barely works even not touching it, right? So don't touch it. So having the flexibility now in order to be like, all right, let's A/B test this. Let's switch this screen around. Let's change this. It's one of the things that we saw some good results out of is we really simplified. We're using Salesforce as e-commerce for B2C. So signing up for an AMA membership. Please, everyone go to ama.org right now and sign up for an AMA membership. It's fantastic. But that's all. You hit join now, and then you're in Salesforce from there. So good learning on that. So we improved the flow, and we cleaned up the process and made it more streamlined, but we're still not there yet as well. I don't know if anyone, this is the first real B2C application that I've worked on, right? So, when you're working on B2B stuff or stuff that internal employees are going to use, there's a certain amount of forgiveness there, or a certain amount of someone in my role as an executive, I can say, yeah, toughen up, buttercup. That's how it's going to work, right? And, that's just how it is here, so deal with it. But, B2C application, there's no forgiveness. There's no, they're clicking off and going to someone else's website and not continuing with what they want to do with the AMA if it's not meeting their needs and not feeling exactly what they need to do. So, some good success there in simplifying things, but wanted to get even further than we are today.
And ROI metrics, I assume it's membership increases. How else are you measuring?
Yeah, so we're 6 months out from go live, right? So one of the main things we wanted to do was just not blow anything up in the first couple of months, right? So we had a few challenges there, but we're back stabilized and looking at now we can, before we were very locked into what we're doing, right? And we need to change in order to grow. So now we're able to start changing things around and then seeing what we can do in order to start growing.
Awesome. Jonathan?
So the last couple months, we've actually internally been spending a huge amount of time looking at holistically the attribution of the value of Salesforce within our business. But one of the things that's refreshing, I think, as you look across sales teams or call centers and things like that, you know, a call center is a great example of where in many places there's traditional metrics where you can calculate ROI, and it's less exciting than what we've really pivoted to, which is Net Promoter Score being so much more important, right? So particularly in an industry in the lines of business that Manulife does, that it works in and operates in, the industries, particularly life insurance, has, you know, double-digit negative numbers as a whole. People, because if you're talking about death and life insurance and critical illness insurance, it's not a good time, right? And so moving and shifting that and really putting Net Promoter Score throughout the business and then being able to measure that and bring that in is the focus. And so although there is a collection of different KPIs and metrics around sales organizations, service organizations, customer portal, it's really for us about a holistic focus on customer expectation, whether that's a sponsor, an advisor, an end customer, you know, it's really about Net Promoter Score for us, where we're bringing that all together. And the Salesforce attribution of that through the proximity takes a little bit of math to do. I definitely recommend, you know, certainly not putting a technology perspective on that, but really understanding what are the outcomes for the business and understanding that first. And then as things happen, look to see the impact of your application with that implementation, and how have you changed, and how has the attribution of what you're trying to do affected your business.
Awesome feedback. I want to just say again, thank you guys for taking the time with us here today. I think you've given the audience a ton of good nuggets to take, whether it's, hey, here are some of the challenges in a project, here are some of the use cases you can get through a technology platform like Salesforce, and we really do appreciate it, so thank you all.